right, so let's begin. Start by just gathering ourselves, getting mind and body together. Again, you gain of chansam, Pemakasaram Polayam, Century Name, Imagination Sutra. Kodokandom, Peko, Kiki Jisuta, Chinkido Cheshi Suso, Guru Pemasiti. Consanta Sem Garashidi Sam, Pamakaraja Shuna, Susuna, Nata Tinkasaso, Katanama. I mean, she can't keep put on it to some singing in on it at some sugar and soon to zip. So wait a minute, shall I so one day? So we are going to begin with our bodhicitta motivation. Bodhicitta is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. Bodhi means awakened or enlightened, and citta means the mind and heart together. So I'm just going to move this. I know I just asked you to move for that reason, but this way I'm kind of talking to everybody at the same time instead of moving my head around. Pardon me. Okay. So, mind and heart together. Citta is the mind and heart together. So in the West, we tend to separate these things, right? The mind is all thoughts and ideas and things like that that we have. The heart being, of course, our emotions, our feelings, this kind of thing. So in the West, they combine them. In the East, they combine them together. Pardon me. Okay, I don't know how to do that. All right. So, bodhicitta. So the definition is enlightened mind heart. Okay, the etymology is enlightened mind heart. But the definition is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others. And that's the entire reason that we practice. That's the entire purpose of our practice, is supposed to be so that we can attain all the qualities of enlightenment to be able to benefit others. Do you have any questions before I start speaking? Does anyone in the chat have any questions that are not ridiculous? Daryl, do you have a question? Cole. Question? Nothing. Okay. How about you, Lucy?
Not today. Not today.
Okay. And do you never have a question? Okay. Interesting. All right. I think that it's very worthwhile to talk about compassion. Okay. And in that vein, I'm going to disconnected, but okay. Hey. Yeah, I'm feeling a little disconnected today myself. I'm sorry, because it's a little strange today because I'm kind of, using the phone instead of my computer, which is unfamiliar to me. And then there's suddenly, at the beginning, like this influx of people. Like normally there's one or two, maybe usually around 3 people who are watching, and there were like 43 people. And I was getting all these weird comments, like really disrespectful comments. And I was kind of like distracted by that. So, and then it's, I just opened up the text here, this Way of the Bodhisattva text, and it said, do not teach the Dharma to the disrespectful, those who, etc. So it's quite interesting. I mean, I think that, teaching the Dharma to the disrespectful can be helpful sometimes, that people can learn. Like I said at the beginning, that's why I said what I said, you know. Maybe you can learn to be a respectful person. Yeah, disconnected. That's respectful. That's not one of the disrespectful comments. That's Daryl. He's a good guy. Okay. Let's talk about generosity. So we're entering it's going to be Christmas in a few days. And, whether you're Christian or not, a lot of people celebrate Christmas, right? Get together with family and so forth. And generosity is a really interesting concept. And it's an interesting thing to observe. Oh, you know what? I realize. Hey, Daryl, can you hear me okay? I just realized I'm not using the microphone. I don't know how to connect it in this kind of situation. Can you hear okay? Daryl? Who knows? Okay. Yes, okay, good. So normally when we think of generosity, right, we're thinking about, just giving something to someone. It seems very simple to us, We give because we want to, well, let me ask you, why do you give? Thank you, Daryl. Why do you give? Why would you give something to somebody? I'm asking you guys a question. It's a simple question. It's the answer to the question.
Sometimes I won't give something, I will give a service as a gift,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it seems more useful.
Okay, but why? My question is why, not what.
Because I see something that needs to be done for
Mhm.
someone or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish to make it so that the need is met as well as I can do, which isn't always the case. And sometimes I have to admit that I have to say, well, to be able to do this.
So,
because sometimes I
mm-hmm,
don't get anything back.
mm-hmm.
But I will admit, sometimes I do it just because it makes me feel good.
So you give because you see a need, or you give because it makes you feel good?
Both.
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 Mm-hmm. And then Daryl says to see them happy. What do you say, Cole?
I say mostly to benefit them in some way.
Them in some way? So if you're giving someone a present for Christmas, why would you give somebody a present for Christmas? You can put it in the chat, or you can answer me here.
Maybe it's something that they like you saw that they had interest in something, if it's like a book or...
Not what, why? Why? Okay, so I don't know why this question's, maybe it's not a good question. So, yes, we give things to make people happy. We generally give things in two ways, right? Maybe I shouldn't give it a number, several ways, let's say, okay? We give things because we see that there's a need. So that can be something like charity, that can be something like just helping out a family member, taking care of someone who is sick, donating to a worthy cause, this kind of thing we give. Or we give someone a present because it's their birthday or it's Christmas or whatever, and we do that because we love them, because we like them, or because we feel obligated to do so. Maybe we don't like them very much, right? But we have to give them a gift. We feel we have to give them a gift because it's our boss or, a coworker or something like that, or a relative we're not particularly fond of, but it's Christmas, and so we have to give them something. Okay, so we give them a gift for that reason, yeah. And all of those things, I mean, even giving somebody a gift because you feel obligated is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's okay. You're not harming somebody, hopefully, by giving them a gift. From the Buddhist point of view, there's a few types of generosity. There's material giving, yeah, like that's what we just described. Even, so there's material giving, which is obvious, right? And then there's like gifts of service, right? Which we also, it's clear, you do something for someone. And there's the gift of Dharma, so that's, giving someone the Dharma, meaning, teaching or sharing the Dharma with them in some way, okay? So sharing the Dharma doesn't have to be a formal situation like this, where, I'm sitting here teaching, right? It can also be informal, where we just, we learn about the teachings, and then we're trying to help somebody who has a problem, and we're applying the teachings to that situation, We don't have to be weird about it, or, all like the Buddha hath said, XYZ, right? We can just say, oh, yes, but whatever, bring the Dharma into play, okay? Practice letting go. Oh, that's good, yeah, that's, can you say more about that, Daryl? So I'm waiting for him to answer that. Are you like mindful of considered like pure from subject, object, and action, okay? So what does that mean? So it means that normally we are very attached to the concepts of ourselves as the giver, being truly existent, the object that we are given, that we are giving, right, being truly existent, and the person to whom we are giving being truly existent. That's really, 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 really difficult to do, okay? It's very hard, a lot of practice to be able to do that. In the meantime, as a, you know, in between our sort of ordinary giving and that kind of great giving, right? We can at least watch our mind and see what's really happening there, okay? When we give something to someone, there's a lot of attachment there, okay? Feels like generosity, looks like generosity, somehow it's not 100% generosity, right? We want something back, okay? We want something back. Even when we give with, you know, we might say, well, you know, no, you don't have to give me anything back. I don't want anything back. I'm just giving this freely, you know. But if they don't say thank you, how do we feel? How do we react? You know? They didn't even say thank you. They didn't even say, can we call our friend, you know? Oh, that proves how old I am, that I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I don't like getting things, because I'm just like, I don't want to have to, like, you know, give them
Reciprocate.
something. Yeah, like reciprocate, but still. I'm just like, I don't want.
Oh. Hang on, please hold. Yes, typical. I forgot to plug in my phone. And seems I am connected, but okay. All right. I just want a cabin in the woods. Okay. No, thankfully this strip is just fantastic. My issue is internet connection. Okay. So this idea of obligation, right? Obligation to return. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept because you have the obligation, the like giving obligation. You have the sort of obligation as the receiver of a gift, is also something really interesting, right? And that generosity can also be used as a controlling mechanism, and that I really have such a strong distaste for that, right?
I'm sorry, what kind of mechanism? Oh,
Controlling,
oh,
controlling, right? I was just looking at, I was cleaning out this cupboard yesterday and found some objects that I can't say what it is because it'll give away the whole situation, but I just went back to that story and I was shopping with this person and I saw these things and I was like, oh, I love this, you know, I really love this, but I was like, it's too much, I don't want it, it's too much of a hassle, you know, I'm not gonna buy these things. No, you should get it. I don't want it, it's fine, you know. No, you should definitely, I'll get it for you. I was like, please don't, you know, I don't. And they just pushed and pushed and pushed, and it was such a big deal, you know. And they like forced me to take it, you know. And I hated it. After that, I just like didn't want it anymore, you know. And I like had it in my house, like I'm getting rid of it because it just has such a bad taste in my mouth over that. Retreat. Someday. So, yeah, so there's this obligation that we feel, there's a attachment to the object that we give, you know. We want, when we give a gift to somebody, we want to see them open it so we can see how happy we made them, you know. We want to see their reaction and we want them to keep it, you know. We don't want them to give it to somebody else, you know. I love getting things that I can regift. I'm just like, oh, this is great. This is going to make it a great regift. It's not something I would use, but it's a nice little thing that I can give to somebody else. But people don't like that, and I don't tell people I'm just going to give this to somebody else. But I love doing that. And they save me. It is a gift for me because they save me having to go out and get that for somebody else. So that's the kind of thing I mean. Why are we giving this to somebody? What are we expecting in return? What's happening in our mind in this process? So first, Lucy, and then Linda. Go ahead, Lucy.
This is interesting when you talk about control
Mm-hmm.
and expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I gave a gift of money to my son for my granddaughter. It's a pretty good amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, this will be good for her college fund. So they called me up and did the thank you very much, and then I said, oh, what do you think you might be doing with that money? And they said, oh, we're going to use it for immediate stuff. And I remember thinking, dang, but I didn't say anything.
Mhm.
But I thought, how interesting, because that's a control thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm giving a gift,
Mm-hmm.
but I did not say to them, it's for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But it was in my mind that that's where it should go.
Right.
But I gave it, and I stopped and thought that sometimes it's a gift. It's to do with whatever they want.
Mhm.
I had to sort of put that back into my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the past, I've given some money to people who ask for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had other people say, well, you shouldn't do that. They're gonna just go buy drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, once I give a gift that way to a complete stranger, which I
Mhm.
haven't done in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not mine. It's theirs to do with whatever they
Mhm.
want. But it was so interesting because I have a connection
Mm-hmm.
to my son and my granddaughter that it was like, oh, this should be for.
Right.
And then I had to stop and rethink that.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mhm.
thought, how interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And just you talking to me, talking about
Mm-hmm.
gifts and it just sort of brought it back to mind. That
Mhm.
this is something that I need to watch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and we all do. And I'm glad that you brought that up because I really wanted to preface that I'm not saying all this to make us feel bad. It's not about us feeling bad. It's just like it's another thing to pay attention to. It's another thing that we can use to practice with, it's another, we should be kind of trying to apply the teachings in our life no matter what. And this is it's another thing that we can do. And if we think, if there's a situation where we know we're going to give something to someone, it's an opportunity to kind of prepare ourselves ahead of time, before we give that, like, okay, here's a situation, like in your situation, like this is what I would like them to do, but it is ultimately their decision, so I'm not going to be attached to what they do with this.
And it surprised me.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
surprised me that I had that strong feeling.
right,
Because I did give it with the expectation.
sure,
It was complicated.
yeah, yeah,
And so I'm glad that it's going to be used for however they wish.
Mhm.
A.
mm-hmm.
But it took me a moment or two to.
Sure.
To step back from the controlling
Mhm.
thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Linda,
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I'm not sure if it was the Lama that said this in the teaching or not, but was told that a gift is really not a gift unless it's wanted or needed. I thought that was an interesting concept.
Mhm.
I've thought about that a lot.
mm-hmm.
And again, is that my need to be giving? to
Right,
someone?
right,
The other thing is, many times over the years, I've been in the company of various people whom we would be sharing an event, sharing a situation, especially in New York City,
mm-hmm.
and I would admire something. And the next thing I knew, it was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned that I better keep my mouth shut about what I admire. There's no point in discussing it. It's my personal view.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing being, as you are with these kinds of people, you realize that that, again, is coming from their side, trying to figure out, I hate to say, trying to figure out what they can give you.
Mm-hmm.
So you've admired something and then, oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
And Rinpoche and I used to run around. He liked to go for country rides sometimes because after studying so much and meditating,
Mm-hmm.
he needed a break.
Sure.
And so I would take and drive him various places. And one of our favorite things to do, or I don't know, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, was to go and look at various beautiful houses,
Mhm.
gorgeous houses.
Mm-hmm.
And we would both admire them. And one time he turned to me and he said, aren't you happy with the house we have? Meaning he had bought a house and I was taking care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, no. I said, I like it, it's beautiful, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want it. It's a McMansion, it's,
Yeah.
don't need, but I can admire it. So
Yeah.
there's a difference between admiring something I've discovered and
Right.
admiring.
Right.
And I had to learn how to be careful with that
Yeah.
admiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, and even with my mother, I had to learn how to say, Mom, I admire it, but it doesn't mean I want it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
It's a little aside from what we're talking about.
Yes,
today.
yes. No, but it is part of it. It is part of it. So I want to just address Daryl's comment here. So he says giving abandons stinginess. So it brings me to the practice of offering. So when we make these offerings on the altar, for example, or when we do offering the mandala practice, that is about practicing generosity. So we have the active generosity, right, which is giving gifts or giving to charity, this kind of thing. We all know what that is. And that can be kind of forced, like forced upon us by moral codes or religion or whatever, our own ideas of, what is right. Or that can come from within, that can be an inner inspiration, right, to give, okay? The latter is much better, right, than sort of forcing ourselves or being forced from some outside entity to be generous, yeah? I don't. So when we do a practice of like altar, making offerings on the altar, that's why we do it, or the mandala practice, that's why we do it, to generate compassion in our own mind, generate generosity in our own heart, in our own mind, to practice that generosity. So in the mandala practice and in the practice of making an altar, that same thing is at play of expanding the offering to an outrageous degree, okay, to a ridiculous degree. So when we're making this, and I didn't go through that explanation because we would have been here all day, but so I'm gesturing to Cole because I asked him to fill the water bowls this morning. So each of these water bowls, and there are other videos on this channel where I explain more about the altar, and maybe I'll do just a video on that. But it's making offerings of water to drink, water to wash, flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, and music. These are the 8 offerings that are traditionally offered in ancient India to an honored guest. But each one of those has a symbolic of something on the path. For example, light is considered very important because it symbolizes dispelling the darkness of ignorance. So, incense symbolizes discipline, and flowers symbolize patience and stuff like that, okay? But when we make these offerings, let's say take water to drink, when we're pouring that water in, we're supposed to be visualizing like from, this sort of countless offering gods and goddesses, from every pore of our body, and each one of them also emanating more countless offering gods and goddesses, each one of them holding these beautiful, pitchers, bejeweled pitchers of water, offering to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, right? Like that, just massive, it's called Samantabhadra, clouds of offering. So it just makes like this huge, like countless offerings. Why? Why do it that way? Why not just consider this as sort of small? Because our mind is already really quite small. Like that, we sort of put ourselves in these little boxes, right? So we just want to make it very vast. Yeah, very vast. And what that does, it kind of stretches that muscle, in a sense, stretches that generosity muscle so that we can, it just becomes easier to be a little bit more generous. If if we can only give a penny, maybe if we do this practice where we're giving countless, innumerable pennies, we do that practice every day for a couple hours, we can eventually give 2 pennies, It's really like that, It's very practical. It seems like kind of outrageous and out there, but ultimately it's very practical. So I'm just laughing. So I have a problem with mice in my house at the moment. So it's very difficult because I really don't want to, of course, have them killed. But so I'm trying to catch them, and they're so, anyway, they're very, very smart, which is very frustrating. And I'm like, you would be much better if you were really stupid and I could just catch you all at once and get you out of here because you're going to be in trouble otherwise. So, but there's this trap that they all have live traps. And I bought 3 different types because they're so smart that they will learn one type and tell their buddies, and then they know they'll figure out how to get the food out without setting off the trap, They're so cute and they're so smart, and it's so frustrating. So this one trap said, like, if they're getting the bait out without setting the trap, you have to put some pennies on the lever thing, because it means they're not heavy enough to, it's like they're too small, So I put 2 pennies on there. Put 1 penny, it didn't work, so I put 2 pennies on the other night. I come back this morning, I look at it, all the bait is gone, and it was peanut butter, so it had to take them some time to lick up all that peanut butter. It wasn't something they could just carry away. And they took the pennies. I don't know how. I'm like, why? What? So yeah, so now they have 2 pennies somewhere for some reason. I don't know, maybe they're gonna buy something. They're gonna buy human poison so they can kill me in my sleep. I don't know. All right.
One thing I had heard, because there's different kinds of mental acuity, and I know that I'm capable of forgetting a lot of stuff over the years. That's my MO. It's like a colander with various size holes that things just go out of.
Sure.
And so in the last maybe 5-10 years, I started trying to figure out, well, why do I have such a crappy memory? And some things really stick. So I'd heard from the Dalai Lama, and then I had read this, and then I'd heard it from another Lama, that mandala offerings incur more wisdom. And I'm like trying to understand, what is it, because now we're talking about generosity.
Right.
So is it a specific kind of generosity that mandala offering would bring about to help one's intellect?
I don't know. I never heard that. What I heard was that we need vast stores of merit and wisdom in order to attain enlightenment, and that mandala offering creates merit. I have never heard that it creates wisdom. I'm not saying that it doesn't.
No,
I'm just saying I never heard that.
Yeah.
So I can't answer the question because I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. But
And I've even read it, so it's
yeah.
wow.
Well, I'll pay attention if I ever see that, but I haven't
I've
seen.
contemplated, and it doesn't somehow or another. I wish I had asked him when he was still alive.
Yeah. I'm sorry I can't help you. Yeah. Okay, so let's do some meditation then, okay? All right, so we're gonna begin with mindfulness breathing practice, okay? And so we're all sitting in chairs here. If you are sitting on the floor at home, then you just wanna sit in whatever position is comfortable for you, okay? So just cross your legs in whatever way is comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair, then you just wanna make sure your feet are flat on the floor, if possible. We do have some cushions under here. If your feet don't reach the floor and you want to put them on a cushion, you're more than welcome to take a cushion.
A little bag.
Okay. Lucy, do you want one? Can you take one for her too, please?
Okay. Oh,
Thanks.
thank you.
I don't know how to stop this. I want the light without the, it's like reflecting.
And your glasses.
Yeah, I'm not good at this thing. Okay, so the main thing in this practice is that the back is straight. Okay, so we want the back to be straight, but relaxed. So the hands can be in one of three positions, like palms down on the knees, or resting one on top of the other like that in your lap, or with your fingers on top and your thumbs touching like that in your lap, whatever's, most comfortable for you. Arms are relaxed at your side. Again, the back is straight, back of the neck is also straight, so the chin is going to be tucked in a little bit. Mouth is closed but relaxed, tongue resting on the roof of the mouth. Ideally, the eyes are open, looking down, about halfway down. So relaxed, lowered gaze, breathing through the nose. So we hold the body in this position because it aids the mind in meditation. So just bring your awareness to the sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nose. That will be the focus of your awareness. So the meditation part is to keep the focus on the breath and allowing the thoughts to arise, dwell, and disappear on their own. Without chasing after them, without getting distracted by them. Just let them come and go like clouds in the sky. If you do get distracted, simply bring the mind back to the breath. This is a simple but very powerful practice that will help us in many ways if we do it consistently. So, we'll ring the gong to start and also to finish, and give you little instructions in between. Okay? So now you can begin to count the breaths, counting either every in-breath or every out-breath to a total of 10 complete breaths. Counting acts as a reminder, some more quick way of realizing if we've gotten distracted. So you realize more quickly because you will have lost count. So let's say you get to 4 and you start to wander off, then the moment you realize that, just come back, start again at 1. If you get to 10, don't let that distract you. Just bring the mind back, start again at 1. So please begin that now. Bring the mind back to the breath. We're not trying to stop thinking. We're mainly focusing on that sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nose. Letting all the other thoughts just come and go. Allowing for all the other sensations, feelings, sounds, and etc. that might be in our environment. But primarily focusing on that sensation. Keeping the mind still in one place. There are a set of things that we can do if we watch our mind and we realize we're feeling very speedy, maybe. Sometimes they term it over-concentrated. But it's essentially kind of being speedy, tense, and so forth. In that case, we should put our hands in the position, palms down on the knees. It's a more relaxed position. Make the body warmer if you can, so put on a sweater or blanket. Make the room warmer, like again, if you have control over that. Make the room darker. Close your eyes for a little bit. Be sure you don't fall asleep after doing all of that. When you feel you have calmed down somewhat, then open your eyes. You don't need to change anything else unless you need to. Conversely, if you're feeling really dull and sort of sleepy, then you want to look up for a little bit. Maybe look out the window or look into a light. Make sure that you're really sitting straight and put your hands in that position with the thumbs touching like that. And make sure your back is straight. That this will make the body cooler. So take off a sweater or blanket, open a window, make the room brighter if possible. All of that will wake you up a little bit, yeah? And when you feel more stable, then you can, again, adjust your posture accordingly. So it's up to us, nobody can crawl into your head and kind of see where you're at, right? we're the ones who have to sort of observe, oh, I'm feeling really scattered, or I'm feeling really dull, whichever it is, and then make the appropriate adjustments. So please check where you're at. If you don't need to adjust, you don't have to adjust anything. But if you do, then go ahead and make those adjustments and see if they help. How'd that go today? What was your experience? Talk to me, baby. Cool. What was your experience today? This sucks. Just kill me. All right.
You're gonna blind yourself in many ways.
It's blinding me, or it's like, I cannot get scattered. Yeah,
The
me
ring light just
too.
doesn't do it for you.
Hmm?
The ring light just doesn't do it for you.
Well, the ring light is, first of all, blinding me when I'm trying to look at you guys. Then it's making ring circles on my glasses, so people can't see my eyes. This thing, there's no way to put it that, works. I'm gonna have to do some research and just try to figure out if there's some way to make it happen that looks better. No kill you? No kill you? What does that mean? No, scattered, no. I don't know. I don't know what you're saying, Daryl. Yes, I was also very scattered today. How about you, Linda? You're really experienced. You've been doing this a long time, haven't you?
Trying.
Trying. Girl, oh, I relate. Yes. What was your experience today?
I kept
Oh, sorry, what?
I kept focusing on dependent arising, so
You kept focusing on what?
dependent arising.
Dependent arising, yes. How about you, Lucy?
Was happy that I was less distracted, more focused.
I can't hear you, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
a little more focused
More focused?
than sometimes.
Okay, good.
And also thinking about what you spoke of, like focusing on generosity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's here instead of here.
Right.
Instead of the back of my head, it's in the front of my head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, but, yeah, focus and generosity kind of Although, yes, I did have to bring myself back, and I thought I was gonna have a coughing spell.
I know, I could see that, I know.
I thought,
It,
I'm gonna have to get up and leave.
it's so
Nope,
frustrating.
It didn't happen,
I
yay!
know. I know those times very well, yeah. Okay, all right, okay, good, yeah. It's really, it's important, like, I think it's important to say, even if you have been practicing for many, many years, like I have, like some of us in the room have, it's not always easy to practice, you're still gonna find days that are, you're just distracted, you're all over the place, you're really scattered, as Daryl said. You're not there, you're not into it, whatever. You're feeling pain, you got a cough. I mean, all kinds of things happen. I think this is, one of the things I appreciate so much about Buddhism. One of the many things I appreciate so much about Buddhism is this. It's very realistic. The teachings are realistic. The teachers are realistic. And there's a constant acceptance and acknowledgement of like that there are a lot of obstacles, that there are difficulties, that it's challenging, that it's difficult, all this kind of stuff, So there's nothing, there's none of this like, oh, all you have to do is, X and like everything will be fine, It's like, no, man, sorry, like, sucks to be you, I guess, like, there's nothing in Buddhism that says that. I mean, there are some overarching ideas that are kind of, indicative that if you can get that down, that one thing down, or those little handful of things down, you'll be in much better shape, right? And one of those is bodhicitta. One of those is bodhicitta. Definitely bodhicitta, This is so essential of having, compassion, which is the root of bodhicitta, and combined with wisdom, which is the understanding of the cause of suffering in this case, right? Understanding the cause of suffering, which is marikpa, which is fundamental ignorance, right? Not understanding the empty nature of the self and all things. I'm sorry. This is there it is. This is, okay, it's not gonna, sorry. Anybody who has ADHD understands the struggle of tags. Oof. Okay. So, yeah, so bodhicitta, very, 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 very important, really very important. Illusory nature of all things. Practice. These sort of fundamental concepts, if we can kind of really focus on those things, most of the other things will sort of fall into place. But there's nothing that says those things are easy, right? So there's like a short list, but there's not like, I'm dancing around it because I don't want to seem like disrespectful of other faiths, But there's nothing like a deathbed confession, let's say, that's just gonna like erase everything and just make everything okay. That's kind of where I'm going. Yes, Lucy?
I was gonna say, going back to bodhicitta is because I am doing a practice a little more formally.
I really need you
A
to.
little more formal practice, sorry, I should project more. I use bodhicitta when I'm doing various parts of the practice that I am thinking or imagining that I am surrounded by huge numbers of individuals, and that they're doing it with me. And
Right.
with what I am doing and with what they're joining me is that they are gaining more merit, more freedom, perhaps on the way to realizing how things really are. That's basically what I wanted to say, because then it means what I am doing is not just becomes rote, like, oh, I have to do so much of this or so
Right.
much of that, and And that's easy to fall into. It's, oh,
Mhm.
I gotta do so much of this, you know, so I can move on. And
Right.
it's like, no, you know,
Mhm.
that's a small part of it, but
Mm-hmm.
trying to think a little bit larger.
Yeah,
Trying to think larger.
right, to enlarge our view is quite important, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So I think that if our expectations are too high, like we need this balance between sort of having a vision, you know, having a aspiration for like where we're going, where we want to get to, what is possible, which is quite grand, and being realistic and also understanding, you know, what are the realities of this path? What are the obstacles that we're likely to face? What is the length of this path? You know, if we have unrealistic expectations that all I need to do is like someone said to me once, this person shall remain forever nameless, that they practiced during the commercials while they're watching TV, which is like great. In a sense, that's great, right? It's better than not practicing at all, but it's really not enough, okay? We're not gonna really get very far if we do that. What was my point about that? That we need to make an effort, okay? But that it can be challenging nonetheless. Do you guys know, I can't remember her name. Are you guys familiar with this, she's called Grandma somebody, this woman in the 30s or 40s who walked the entire Appalachian Trail? It's like 2,000 miles.
I know of the person, but I can't give you her name.
She's fantastic. And she just wore like Keds, tennis shoes and a dress, and like carried a canvas bag, and she had like a shower curtain for a tent and like a matches, I don't know, like really basic stuff. And she like canned, do you remember, I know you don't, but do you guys remember Viennese sausages? Remember those in a can? It's so awful. And like little hot dogs in a can. It's it's so disgusting. But anyway, she had those. And she was talking about this trail, which goes from like Georgia to Massachusetts, I think, something like that. It's tremendously long. And she walked it, I think, a few times actually. And she just mentioned like, wow, they made this trail that went over like the highest boulders and the highest mountains. Like why couldn't they make it easier? And I was like, oh girl, I relate. You know, like I get it. So we have to understand on one hand that it's difficult, on the other hand that it's possible, and to not give up. You know, that as long as we keep going and we keep trying and whatever, doing our best, that we will definitely reach the end. All right, so now we're going to move into Tonglen practice. So I'm going to explain, and I'm sorry for those of you who have heard this a million times to bore you with it, but you're welcome to explain it if you're overly bored. I'm happy to turn this phone around, and I can just press this button, and you can explain it if you like, okay? So the Tonglen means giving and receiving. If you're watching this video on YouTube, we have a whole bunch of videos on our channel. You can always go and get further explanation. Essentially, this practice is to increase our compassion, okay, our compassionate heart. Just like other practices we were describing earlier, to increase our generosity, this is to increase our compassion. So this practice has 5 stages. The first is resting the mind. The second is working with the visualization. The third is working with an individual. The fourth is working with all beings. And the fifth is just bringing the mind back. So I'm actually just going to walk you through it instead of explaining it, because as I said, everybody in this room has heard this explanation a million times, and whoever is watching the video or here right now has either heard it or can find further explanation in other videos here. So today we're going to do this practice for someone that we love. I will say there are 4 different individuals that we can do the practice for. That is someone we love, someone who's neutral to us, which we did, I believe, last week. So that is someone who, like, we know, we recognize them, but we neither particularly like nor particularly dislike. So a neighbor, a distant relative, this kind of thing. Someone we dislike, which can range from just someone we find annoying to, that's the low end of the spectrum, to, someone we normally have good relationship but we're currently struggling with, to, someone who really, really harmed us. I don't recommend starting there. And then the 4th category is oneself, and this is quite important, to develop compassion for oneself. Today we're going to do someone that we love, okay? So in this practice, you take the same posture. However, if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. It's a different kind of practice than trying to focus on the breath, okay? All right, so we're going to just take the posture of meditation first, okay? Just bring the mind and body together. Take a moment to focus on the breath as it comes in and out of the nose. So now I'm going to ring the gong. Just listen to the sound as long as you can hear it, and let your mind rest. So that means you're not trying to focus on anything particular, but you're also not just letting your mind wander off into distraction. Just letting the mind settle. Now imagine in your heart center a bright white light like a shining star with light going in all directions. And then imagine that you're breathing in gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy, through all the pores of your body. All of that smoke dissolving into the white light in your heart center until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. Now consider that you're breathing out white light, cool, clean, clear, very bright, through all the pores of your body. Okay. Now imagine in front of you someone you love a great deal. They can be still living or they can have already passed away. Just picture them there. Really go into your heart and feel the love you have for this person. And the love they have for you. And then consider the ways in which this person is or did suffer. So physically, maybe they're sick or had some other kind of physical difficulty. Perhaps they're suffering mentally or emotionally from depression, anxiety, addiction. Maybe they're having money troubles or problems at home or at work or at school. And don't just think about it, but try to really feel, what does it feel like for this person to have to go through that? Then, of course, because we love this person, it's easy to have compassion for them, to want them to be free of this suffering. So we imagine that all their suffering, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, hot in temperature, heavy in weight, dark. It leaves them and it comes to you. And you breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer this person you love so dearly. You offer them your own happiness, giving it away, your own good fortune, anything that they may need to feel better, along with the wish that they attain full and complete enlightenment in this very lifetime. And all of that takes the form of white light, cool, clean, clear, very bright. You breathe out this white light through all the pores of your body. And when the rays of light touch them, their suffering just completely disappears, lifting off of them. And they feel so relieved and happy, at ease. And you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. Now we're going to do the same process for all sentient beings without exception. First, imagining them all around us. In front, as many beings as you can imagine, stretching all the way to the horizon. Bring in your mental CGI if you need to. To the right, as many beings as you can imagine. Behind, again, as many beings as you can imagine, all the way to the horizon. Same thing to the left, all the way to the horizon. So now you're surrounded by a sea of sentient beings. And the first thing we want to do is consider that we're all the same in wanting to be happy, wanting to be free of suffering, yet suffering nonetheless. That we are all connected in myriad ways. We share this planet, the earth, the air, the water, the fate of this planet. We are supported by those who grow our food, make our clothing, keep up the utilities, the roads, etc. So many connections. And sadly, so much suffering. So we consider the suffering of all these beings, even if we don't know specifics, we know that it is there. We generate compassion for them, wishing them to be free of suffering. And then we consider that all their suffering, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy. It leaves them. It comes to you, the great deal of openness, love, and compassion. You breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. Now you offer all of these beings without exception, your own happiness and good fortune, anything at all that they may need, along with the wish that they attain full and complete enlightenment in this very life. All of that taking the form of white light, cool, clean, clear, very bright. Breathe out this white light through every pore of your body, the light going in all directions as far as the eye can see. And when these rays of light touch all of these beings, each individually, their suffering just lifts off of them and disappears like fog in the morning sun. They feel a tremendous sense of relief and joy, happiness, and you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. Now let go of the visualization altogether, gently bringing the mind back to the breath, allowing the breath to be used as a tool to keep the mind in the present moment, here and now. Okay. I do need one, thank you. So now we're going to say these closing prayers. You can join or not as you wish. There's a link to them in the description under the video. We're going to say the long life prayers just in Tibetan. Then on the other side, we do the first prayer once in English, once in Tibetan, remaining prayers just in English, and then the 100-syllable mantra. Okay? All right. Kanri wawe kowe shinkam su pendande wa malu juwene chenre si won tensing gam so yi shape ge ga ba tu tengyu shi om swasti jigme kempe kalo yamparu kunkap se chen se pum dawa nidu dun san mk no butro se che ga we shakin ta su so Om Swasti Sela Gyamsu Chinlap Chinchune Lunsin Dakse Gyuchu Pema Wang Sangsum Nadre Gyalpo Chachene Lao Chen Tun De She Tun Tai Ge Sho Lama Gungam Sampo Suwa Deb Chodu Kose Ringwa Suwa Deb Trine Tashin Gepa Suwa Deb Lama Dandre Wa Me Pa Chingi Lo. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may I free all beings. Sonandi tamche sipani, tone nyepe dranam pamche shing, kegana chi balon trupai, sipe sole droa droa sho. May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it never fail, but grow and flourish ever more and more. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Ever absorbed in the display of divine forms and primordial awareness, appearance, sound, and perception in the state of divinities, mantras, and dharmakaya, may I, inseparable from the practice of the profound and secret great yoga, attain within the essence of mind the state of one taste. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manubalaya Vajra Sattva Teno Tishradido Me Bhava Sudokayo Me Bhava Subokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sawasidi Me Prayatsa Sawakam Sutsame Chitam Shriyang Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sawa tata gata bhadrama me munsa bhadriba maha samaya sattva. Okay. So, thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for those of you who joined me on YouTube. Just want to make a little announcement. So we are starting our winter break now. So those of you who are here, we are going to be going to Earth Bistro for lunch. I hope you can join us. You going to come? So we won't be doing meditation again until January. Can I open my computer and see exactly when? We're still looking for someone to lead children's meditation or family meditation, so please keep that in mind. Yes, reflect this too. Just trying to pull up my calendar here. January 11th will be our next meditation here at the library, so hoping that you can join us for that, same time. And that's it. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Hope everything is good with your family. And please, 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 please think about those whose, the holidays hit really hard. Those who have lost loved ones, those who have recently gone through divorce, lost, pets and things like that. It's not always easy for people, or who have to spend the holiday alone. All that is difficult. So just keep them in mind, and send them love and compassion. Okay? All right. Bye, everybody. I don't know how to stop this. Bye. Yeah, bye.